Come on in. It's a grown folks channel and we're going to have grown folks discussions. Make sure y'all hit that like and subscribe off top. Come on in and make yourself comfortable. Let me ask you something real quick. Have you ever left a relationship physically but couldn't leave it mentally? Have you ever walked away from someone but still felt like a part of you was tied to them? Like no matter how much time passes, no matter how far you move on, there's still this connection, this pull, this weight. That's a soul tie. And if you don't understand what that is, if you don't know how it's formed or how to break it, you're going to keep carrying old energy into new seasons and relationships. You're going to continue to feel stuck. You're going to keep wondering why you can't fully move forward. Today, we're talking about soul ties and spiritual bondage. Let's lock in. Real talk. Most people don't even know what a soul tie is. They just know something feels off. They know they can't stop thinking about someone they shouldn't be thinking about. They know they're emotionally attached to someone who's no longer in their life. They know they're comparing every single person they meet to this person from their past. But they don't seem to understand why this is happening. Here's what a soul tie is. It's a spiritual and emotional bond that forms between two people, usually through deep emotional connection, trauma, sex, intimacy. And when I say bond, I don't mean something surface level. I mean something that connects you on a soul level, something that doesn't go away because the relationship is over. It lingers and it holds you. And the crazy part is most soul ties aren't even healthy. You're not tied to someone because the relationship was good. You're tied to them because it was intense, because it was traumatic, because you gave parts of yourself to them you know you'll never get back, because you bonded through pain, through dysfunction, through something that was never meant to last. And now your body's moved on, but your spirit hasn't. You slept with her, but she still owns you, bro. You cut him off, but you still feel him, sis. You said y'all done emotionally, but you're still there. And that's bondage. That's not freedom. That's carrying someone else's energy into your future. And it's costing you heavily. So that today, we're going to break down and expose what soul ties are, how they're formed, and most importantly, how to break them. Because you can't step in to your next level while you are still spiritually tied to these demons. Let's start from the beginning. Soul ties aren't just about sex, but let me be real with you. Sex is one of the main ways they're created. Not because sex is bad, but because sex is spiritual. It's not just physical. When you're intimate with someone, you're not just connecting bodies, you're connecting spirits. You're exchanging energy. You're bonding on a level most people don't even understand. That's why when the Bible says the two shall become one flesh, it's not just poetic talk, it's literal. When you're intimate with someone, you're creating a spiritual bond with that person. And if that bond isn't formed in the right context, if it's formed through lust, through trauma, through dysfunction, it becomes toxic. It becomes a tie that binds you instead of a connection that frees you. But sex isn't the only way soul ties are formed. They're also created through deep emotional vulnerability. When you share your deepest fears, traumas, secrets with someone, you create a bond. And if that person ever betrays you, manipulates you, or uses that vulnerability against you, the bond becomes toxic. But it doesn't just disappear. You're still tied to them emotionally. Trauma bonding, this is when you go through something intense with someone, whether it's chaos, drama, pain, struggle. You bond through that experience. You become addicted to the intensity. You confuse dysfunction for death. And even when you know it's toxic, you know you need to leave, you can't because the bond is too strong. Then you have codependency, when your identity becomes wrapped in so much in someone else that you fall in love with trying to fix that person. When you can't imagine your life without them, not because they're good for you, but because you've made them your everything. That's a soul tie. And it's one of the hardest ones to break. And here's the thing about soul ties, they don't just affect you emotionally, they affect you spiritually, mentally, and even physically. You start carrying that person's energy. You start talking on their pain. You start making decisions based on what they would think, even though they're not even in your life anymore. You can't fully connect with someone new because you still stuck on someone old. You can't move forward because part of you is still stuck in the past. That's bondage. And most people don't even realize that they are in this cycle. Now let's talk about what soul ties cost you, because this isn't just some abstract spiritual concept. It's real. It affects your life in tangible ways. First cost, you lose your peace. When you're tied to someone who's no longer in your life, your mind never rests. You're constantly thinking about them, wondering what they're doing. You're checking their social media, replaying old conversations, hoping they reach out to you, hoping they realizing what they lost. You can't be present in your current reality because you're mentally and emotionally stuck in your past. That's exhausting. That's draining. That's bondage. The second cost, you lose your identity. Soul ties make you forget who you were before them. You start defining yourself through that relationship. You start measuring your worth based on whether they loved you, wanted you, chose you. And when they're gone, you don't know what to do with yourself. You're lost. You're confused. You're searching for yourself in people who can't even give you what only you can give yourself. The third cost, you block new blessings. You can't receive what's meant for you if you still hold on to what wasn't. You can't fully open your heart to someone new if you still stuck emotionally to someone old. Every new person you meet, you're comparing them. Every new relationship, you're sabotaging it because you're still carrying unhealed wounds from the past one. Your spirituality is completely void. You're not present. And the right people, they going to feel that and they're going to be healthy enough to walk away. The next cost is your energy. Soul ties drain you. You're not actively talking to the person. You may have blocked them. You may have moved on physically, but you still tied to them spiritually. But they're still tugging at your energy. So you find yourself tired for no reason, unmotivated, stuck, feeling heavy. It's not depression, it's spiritual bondage. That's what you're carrying. And it's a heavy weight that was never yours to carry. Fifth cost, you lose your purpose. When you're emotionally and spiritually tied to someone, you cannot focus on what you're called to do. You're too distracted, too drained, too stuck to even focus on your purpose. You have zero clarity energy and zero intention to operate on the level that you're meant to operate on because you still carrying baggage. You're still replaying your past. You're still hoping for closure that's never coming. And the worst part, most people know you stuck. You know you need to let go. They know your relationship is over, but you don't seem to know your relationship over because you don't know how to break this soul tie. Thinking time and silence will heal it, but that doesn't break soul ties. You have to be intentional. So let's talk about how you actually break it, because this isn't something that just goes away on its own, people. You have to be intentional. You have to do the necessary work, and it's not easy. It's necessary. The first step and the thing you have to do is acknowledge the tie. Stop pretending that it doesn't exist. Stop acting like you're over it when you're not. Stop lying to yourself about how much they still affect you. You can't break what you won't acknowledge. So be honest. Say it out loud. I'm still tied to this person. I'm still carrying their energy. I'm still emotionally attached, even though I know I shouldn't be. Acknowledgement is the first step to freedom. The second step, cut off all contact. And I mean all contact. No texting, no calling, no checking their social media, no just seeing how they're doing, no breadcrumbs, no maybe we can be friends. None of that. You can't heal from someone you're still connected to. You can't break a soul tie while you're still feeding it. So you cut it off completely. You block them if you have to. You remove every reminder. You create distance and you connect with discipline. Third step, forgive them and yourself. This is the hardest part because forgiveness doesn't mean what they did was okay. It doesn't mean you're letting them off the hook. It means you're refusing to let what happened continue to control you. You're releasing the resentment, the bitterness, and that anger. You're freeing yourself from the prison of unforgiveness and no longer letting that person hold you hostage. And just importantly, you forgive yourself for staying too long, for ignoring all the red flags, for giving your all to someone who didn't deserve you in the first place, for bonding with someone who was never meant to be yours. You forgive yourself so you can move forward without guilt, without shame, without regret. The fourth step, reclaim your energy through prayer and spiritual warfare. This is where a lot of people miss it. They try to break soul ties on a physical or emotional level, but soul ties are spiritual. So you have to fight them spiritually. You pray, you ask God to break every unhealthy bond. You declare freedom over your mind, your heart, your spirit. You renounce every soul tie that was ever formed outside of God's will. You ask for healing. You ask for restoration. You ask for clarity. And you stay consistent. This isn't a one-time prayer. This is a daily practice. Every time that person comes to mind, you pray. Every time you feel the pull, you pray. Every time you're tempted to reach out, you pray. You fight spiritually until the tie is broken. Fifth step, replace the void. When you break a soul tie, there's going to be a void, a space where that person used to be. And if you don't fill it with something healthy, you're going to fill it with something else toxic. So you fill it intentionally. You fill it with purpose, with goals, with hobbies, with community, with God, with healing, with growth. You don't just remove the old and replace it with the new. Sixth step, do the internal work through shadow work. This is critical. Soul ties don't just form, because of the other person. They form because of unhealed wounds within you, insecurities, trauma, fear of abandonment, need for validation. So you have to go inward. You have to face parts of yourself that allowed the tie to form in the first place. You have to heal the wounds so you don't recreate the same pattern with someone else coming into your life. Shadow work helps you do that. It helps you identify the root cause. It helps you process the pain. It helps you break the cycle. And that's why it's mandatory if you're serious about breaking soul ties for good. So what happens when you actually break this soul tie? What does life look like on the other side? You get your peace back. You're no longer constantly thinking about them. You're no longer checking their social media. You shouldn't have been doing that in the first place. You're no longer hoping they come back. You're no longer replaying the past. Your mind is clear. Your heart is light. You're present. You're free. You get your identity back. You remember who you are outside of that relationship. You remember what you love, what you're passionate about, what you're called to do. You're no longer defined by whether they chose you. You're defined by what God chose you to be. And that's unshakable. You get your energy back. You're no longer drained. You're no longer tired for no reason. You're motivated. You're inspired. You're moving with purpose. You're disciplined. You're creating. You're building. And the best part, you're thriving. You become emotionally available for the right person. You're no longer comparing everyone to your ex. You're no longer sabotaging new relationships because of old wounds. You're healed enough to recognize real love when it shows up now. And you're ready to build something healthy, which is a beautiful thing. Congrats on your healing. And most importantly, you reclaim your power. You're no longer controlled by your past. You're no longer held hostage by someone who's not even in your life anymore. You're free. And freedom, that's the goal. So let me bring it home real quick. Soul ties are real. And if you don't break them, they'll keep you stuck. They'll keep you drained. They'll keep you emotionally unavailable. They'll keep you repeating the same old cycles with different people in your life. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay tied. You don't have to keep carrying old energy into new seasons. You can break free. You can heal. You can reclaim your peace, your power, and your purpose. It's not going to be easy. It's going to require discipline. It's going to require honesty. It's going to require spiritual warfare. You're going to war. It's going to require you to face yourself and do the internal work. But it's worth it because on the other side of that soul tie is freedom. And freedom is everything. So stop letting old energy live rent free in your mind and in your spirit. Stop letting someone who's no longer in your life control your peace. Stop letting a past relationship control your future blessings. It has no dominion over your life. Break free, do the work, heal, and step into the freedom you were always meant to walk in. If this message hit you, drop me a comment and let me know. What's one soul tie you're finally to break and get rid of? And if you're serious about doing the deep work, the work that sets you free from the inside out, check out my shadow work journal in the description. It's designed to help you face your pain, break unhealthy bonds, and reclaim your power. Let's get it. We're going to close it like we always do. All gas. No brakes. Lock in. Peace.